The first thing Marcus Chen noticed about the creature wasn't its alien features or the strange shimmer of its silver fur. It was how small she was, barely the size of a house cat, trembling behind a pile of debris in the abandoned mining station on Kepler 442b. Another refugee from the Zephyrian conflict, his partner Jake muttered, scanning the desolate landscape through his helmet's visor. Command says we're not supposed to pick up strays. But Marcus had already knelt beside the small being. Her large, luminescent eyes, 3 of them arranged in a triangle on her elongated face, stared up at him with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. When he extended his hand, she didn't retreat. Instead, she pressed her tiny 6-fingered palm against his glove. "She's just a baby," Marcus whispered into his comm. "Look at her, Jake. She's starving." The creature, clearly some form of higher intelligence based on her clothing and the small trinkets clutched in her other hands, made a soft chirping sound. It reminded Marcus of his daughter's first attempts at speech, back on Earth Colony 7. Against protocol, Marcus shared his ration pack with her. The little being devoured the nutrient paste with grateful efficiency, those 3 eyes never leaving his face. When their transport arrived, Marcus made a decision that would echo across the galaxy for decades to come. "We can't leave her here," he told Jake firmly. "The mining crews won't be back for months. She'll die." Jake shook his head but didn't stop Marcus from wrapping the creature in his spare thermal blanket and carrying her aboard their ship. During the 3-day journey back to Frontier Station Omega, Marcus learned that she was remarkably intelligent. She picked up basic human words within hours, her melodic voice carefully shaping unfamiliar sounds. "Zara," she said on the 2nd day, pointing to herself. It was the closest human approximation to the complex tonal name she'd tried to teach him. Marcus introduced her to human customs with the patience he'd once shown his own daughter. He shared his meals, taught her simple games, and even played her music from Earth's classical archives. Zara seemed particularly fascinated by symphonies, her 3 eyes closing in what appeared to be bliss whenever the orchestral movements swelled. At Frontier Station Omega, the bureaucratic machinery ground into motion. Zara was identified as a member of the Etherian species, a proud, ancient race that had been nearly wiped out during the Zephyrian expansion wars. The few survivors had been scattered across the outer rim worlds, most presumed dead. "She needs to go to the Refugee Processing Center on Titan Station," Administrator Williams declared. "We'll find her a suitable placement with her own kind if any remain." Marcus felt something twist in his chest as he watched Zara cling to his uniform, her small claws digging through the fabric. She'd started calling him Papa Marcus in her lilting voice, and the word had become his favorite sound in the universe. "What? If there are no others?" Marcus asked. "What if she's alone?" Williams shrugged with bureaucratic indifference. "Then she'll be placed in a xenological research facility. She's the last of her kind. Think of the scientific value." That night, Marcus made his second decision. He updated Zara's file, listing her as deceased from malnutrition. Then he took early retirement and disappeared into the outer colonies with his adopted daughter. For the next 8 years, they lived quietly on New Montana, where Marcus taught frontier colonists and Zara grew from a small, frightened cub into a brilliant young being. She excelled at everything: mathematics, languages, strategy games, and especially music. But more importantly, she retained the gentle nature that had first drawn Marcus to her. "You saved me," she would often tell him as they watched the binary. Sunset paint the sky in impossible colors. "Not just from death, Papa Marcus. You saved me from forgetting what kindness looks like." When Marcus died of a rare genetic illness, 17-year-old Zara held his hand as he passed. His last words were an apology, that he couldn't stay to see the remarkable being she would become. After the funeral, Zara disappeared. 20 years later, Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen, Marcus's niece, stood on the bridge of the UFS Endeavour as the largest armada in known history assembled around Earth. The reports had seemed impossible at first. A vast empire spanning 1,000 worlds, all united under the rule of someone called the Silver Empress. An empire that had appeared seemingly overnight, crushing the Zephyrian war machine that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. Now that empire's flagship approached Earth, and nobody knew what to expect. The vessel that materialized from hyperspace defied comprehension. It stretched for kilometers, its hull seeming to shimmer between silver and starlight. When the communication channel opened, Sarah found herself staring at a face from her childhood memories, elongated, elegant, with 3 luminescent eyes arranged in a perfect triangle. "Greetings, Admiral Chen," the Silver Empress said, her voice carrying the same melodic quality Sarah remembered from family videos. "I believe you knew my father." Sarah's breath caught. "Zara?" The Empress smiled, an expression that somehow bridged the gap between alien features and very human warmth. "He taught me that the strongest empires are built not on conquest, but on the radical act of kindness to strangers. I have spent 20 years building such an empire, Admiral. 1,000 worlds where the lost and abandoned find homes, where the weak are protected, and where the first law is simple: feed the hungry, shelter the homeless, and never leave anyone behind." Behind the Empress, Sarah could see beings of dozens of species working together on the bridge. Former refugees, outcasts, and survivors, all united under the banner of the Empire Marcus's kindness had ultimately created. "I've come to offer Earth membership in our alliance," Zara continued. "Not as subjects, but as partners. And to thank humanity for the greatest gift one being can give another, the chance to become who they were meant to be." As negotiation began, Sarah smiled through her tears. Uncle Marcus had always been too soft-hearted for military life, too willing to break rules for the sake of compassion. Now, decades later, that same soft heart had shaped the destiny of 1,000 worlds. Sometimes, Sarah reflected, the smallest acts of kindness cast the longest shadows across history.